Welcome to Depression Vacation Podcast. I'm Shannon.
I'm Hal.
And I'm Ryan.
Oh yeah, we have a special guest today.
Hi.
We finally talked Ryan into the podcast. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks for having me. It's a real honor.
That's a real. Welcome to episode 10.
So our 10th episode.
10th episode. Cue the applause.
Extravaganza.
You have to applause, Ryan.
Oh, sorry.
Just 2 more years until we get into the next digit. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't feel like 10 weeks or whatever. I guess it would equate to like 10 weeks.
No, this has become a nice part of my week. Like I've actually had a rough week the last week. Just like lots of work, lots of other stuff, and just like general roughness. So like having, I don't know, like being able to do the podcast tonight, like after work. It felt like a nice thing. We were talking about this earlier, and I was like, at least I have that to look forward to. So. Yeah,
it's a depression vacation, like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so like I was wondering what this podcast was about, right? So we gave it a couple episodes, thinking like, I'm really excited to take a depression from my vacation.
Ryan thinks that our content is a little depressing.
Well,
it kind of is.
I wouldn't say depressing. It's just, I think we should bring something fresh, and that's what I'm hoping.
That's what you are.
Yeah.
You're the fresh meat.
I'm the fresh meat.
Yeah, you are.
That was actually exactly like Shannon's thing for like why Wallace was a guest last, or I guess it was like a month.
It was for Halloween.
Yeah, like a little bit more than a month ago. And she's like, yeah, things have been pretty heavy lately that we've been talking about. Why don't we do a fun episode? Yeah. I'm like, no, this is a no fun podcast.
Yeah, well, we were talking about the podcast earlier, and Ryan said, Shannon, this is kind of depressing. And he's like, it's called Depression Vacation. Aren't you supposed to be like talking about feel-good stuff? And I said, well, we get around to the feel-good stuff. Mm-hmm. But I also think it was someone who said to you that, not a lot of people talk about what we talk about on the podcast and talk so freely about mental health and that kind of thing. So I think it is good to talk about those things. But yes, Ryan, as you have so astutely pointed out, it can be a little depressing on a podcast called Depression Vacation.
This is our therapy for the week. This is just how what's bumming us out, and what's bumming us out. Yeah.
But we can also talk about what's not bumming us out. We can talk about good things.
Yeah.
How?
Oh, good things.
Take it away.
Yeah, well, I had an awesome time at my friend Ashley's karaoke birthday last night. Oh,
yes. Happy birthday, Ashley.
Yeah,
belated.
Today's her actual birthday, too, although the podcast won't be released until tomorrow, so too little, too late.
Oh, wait, is it today, or was it yesterday?
Today.
Yes, I'm not late, but I will be.
It was yesterday, today.
Yesterday, next week?
What is today but yesterday's tomorrow? Mr. Krabs.
The day after.
2007. I don't think that was the actual year.
Is that SpongeBob?
Yes, it was.
So SpongeBob, like I aged out of Nickelodeon right when SpongeBob was becoming like this billion-dollar industry. So I've seen like alarmingly little of SpongeBob SquarePants.
That is alarming. Paramount Plus, guys, it's there.
Well, that's the only reason I subscribed to Paramount Plus is that like I watched on Hulu the documentary The Orange Years, which was about like the formation of Nickelodeon. And I wanted to watch all those shows again.
Yeah.
I used to have them on, like I had all the Are You Afraid of the Darks, Doug's, and Salute Your Shortses on like burnt DVDs when I was a kid. And or not a kid, but like a college student. And then pretty much all of them are on Paramount Plus, so that's why I decided to get that. But like, I guess this fits in within the overall mode of Depression Vacation. But have you ever seen the Orange Years documentary?
No, I haven't, but now I do want to.
Yeah, I recommend this for, especially, I think most of our listeners grew up with Nickelodeon in the like 90s. And the story behind like the creation of Nickelodeon and that era is so fascinating because basically they started it as like a kids network to like be a moneymaker essentially, and they put like all these old school like men TV execs in charge of it, and the network was like faltering, and it was like all this like, so they brought in this woman Geraldine, what was her name? I can't think of what her last name was, but Geraldine Laybourne was her name, and she was somebody who worked in TV but had background as a teacher, and she was like looking at all the content they were producing on Nickelodeon. And it was like kids snowboarding and skiing and things. And she did like focus groups and found out that like what it actually did was make the average kid feel really bad about themselves because the average kid doesn't get to go like skydiving and things like that. And so they think their lives are boring. And so they like got a bunch of educators, and mostly women ran the network too, to like develop all these shows to like appeal to kids and appeal to like what they were actually thinking, feeling, and not try to just sell them a bunch of junk. So it's kind of like a middle of the road Mr. Rogers. And it's the documentary tells that story, and it's fantastic. And
we'll have to check that out. First of all, we were just talking about skiing like the other day, and Ryan is convinced that I will love it.
Well, I never said that. I just want you to go.
He's such a pain in the ass.
Skiing, I have skied a lot in my life, but I haven't been skiing in like 4 years, and the last time I went was fairly traumatic.
See, that's not helping, because here's the thing. I don't like the idea of my feet being strapped onto a board.
Wait, how did you break your wrists?
I didn't break anything, but so what happened was like I went skiing with my friend Rachel, who's also like my running friend, and we did like a night run at Ski Round Top. And I was telling her, I was like, yeah, it's been a couple of years. I kind of just want to do like maybe the bunny slope a little bit just to get my bearings straight. And we got on the wrong lift, and we went to the very top of the mountain. And she's like, oh yeah, Hal, you can probably go back down or find a way down. So we got there. She looked at the map, and she's like, Hal, I've got some bad news. You're going down the mountain. It took 30-ish minutes, and like I fell down probably 12 to 13 times. It took maybe an hour, and like by the time I got to the bottom of the mountain, like she's an expert skier, so she was gone, and I saw all these texts from her. She was like, Hal, are you alive? Are you there? I'm like, I am, but barely.
Yeah, I've never been skiing before. Like you said, I never had the opportunity to when I was a kid. I was poor, and so we couldn't go do fun things, and now I'm just afraid of fun things. So that's how it is.
And then you watch Nickelodeon Games and Sports. Gas. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, that's where Gas is. That was like a digital cable TV channel, right?
Well,
I didn't grow up with cable.
Oh.
It was like Gas and Noggin were like the two throwback networks, because that's where I saw all the Degrassi's too.
Well, so I guess I am very blessed. You see, because I did have cable. So, I count those blessings. All four of them being Nickelodeon, Nickelodeon 2, Nicktoons,
Oh yeah.
and Nickelodeon Gas.
What about Nick at Night?
Oh, Nick at Night.
That is just the night hour of Nickelodeon, isn't it?
But it was like it was after 8 o'clock. Because I remember it was a huge deal when I was in 5th grade that they went to 8:30 for regular Nickelodeon. But Nick at Night was just as important to me as Nickelodeon, because that's where I like fell in love with I Love Lucy, The Odd Couple, Happy Days in the later times, some Green Acres, like all TV shows I never would have seen if they hadn't been playing them in like the later hour at Nickelodeon. So whoever thought of that was a great idea.
We spent like all of our time at my grandparents' house because they did have cable, and they didn't let me discover Adult Swim. I didn't discover Adult Swim until I went out to California to visit my dad, and it was on, and I was like, what is this?
I was on like nightly Cartoon Network, right?
Yeah, Cartoon Network.
What happened? And then in between
there
was
was Toonami.
Toonami. That's where all the anime played.
Yep.
Oh, that's where so that's where Fully Cooley got taped for like a friend of mine, because he was like super into that anime. And it took me a while to remember where it was, because I was like, it's not Cartoon Network. It was like some other thing. It must have been Toonami then.
Yeah, definitely. So as we were saying before, Ryan and I got a little bit of a getaway this weekend. We went to a cabin that is 22 minutes away from my house.
Oh, nice.
It was great. We had a fun time.
Yep.
Not too far.
No, but it was out in the boonies. I guess I live like
Well, you live in
edge of the
Duncannon,
boonies.
right? So that's kind of the boonies.
Yeah, it's kind of the boonies.
It's on the frontier.
Frontier of the boonies.
The
And
Pennsylvania frontier.
what did you like about our little vacation, Ryan?
I liked that we unplugged. I liked that we played Risk.
We did play Risk, and I lost.
How long did it take?
Well, it's Risk Europe. Okay, so it's a modified version.
Well, and we've got it down to a science at this point. If it's just the two of us, we can knock it out pretty quickly.
I mean, we can play full games of Monopoly between the two of us in like an hour.
less.
Oh, wow.
Less.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Monopoly was my favorite game as a kid. Like,
What was your go-to little game piece?
oh, I like Top Hat. He was mine.
Oh, yeah. I was always the race car.
Did you wear fedoras too?
No, I did not. I have a fedora because I was really into Indiana Jones.
I have a theory that there is a correlation between boys who pick the top hat and boys who pick fedoras as their hat of choice. We've all been through that phase. We all thought about it at least once.
I wore a fedora in like middle school. Yeah.
See, I have an oddly large head in a couple of ways. So, like, hats don't fit me particularly well. And so I just generally don't use them at all. Like, I'm much more of a hoodie person if I'm going to have a head covering than a hat.
I like a little beanie. I like to look like a white woman's Instagram.
Yeah.
I am a white woman, but, you know, like a little beanie, a little coffee.
I
with
like
my
to look
mittens.
like myself. It's the thing I'm best at.
I like to stay on brand.
I just don't like hats. I think they're uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree.
What is your favorite game piece of Monopoly, Ryan?
I want to say the T-Rex. Or is that yours?
Well,
I didn't know there was a
so
T-Rex.
here's the thing.
She has an updated version.
I have an updated version because what they did a couple years ago was they put up a vote and everyone could vote for what they wanted the new game pieces to be because they retired a couple of things. I think they retired like the thimble.
Yeah, because nobody uses thimbles
Nobody knew
anymore.
what it was. So now they've added a rubber ducky and a T-Rex. And so now my favorite is the T-Rex. But I was going for like traditional classic
Right. So the reason I
piece.
couldn't think of it was because I missed a really good joke opportunity by saying Obi-Wan Kenobi because for years and years I played on Monopoly Star Wars Edition.
Damn it, you missed your chance at a joke. That's never going to come again.
Rats.
Yeah. But we love board games. We play board games together all the time. We play lots of Catan. I made the mistake a couple Christmases ago of getting him this Star Wars game, and now he wants to play it all the time.
And she never wants to play it.
That kind of reminds me of like this would have been like 4 years before the Game of Thrones TV show came out. I was like obsessed with the books, and I bought the board game for Game of Thrones, which can only be described as Risk with significantly more rules. Like you need
More rules than Risk?
Yeah, like
Risk has a lot of rules.
For instance, you actually have to transport your troops to attack people, and then you need like a certain amount of political influence to be able to maneuver and attack on another. Otherwise, your chances of success go down. I never found anybody to play it with me. It's still at my parents' house, and it was this beautiful board game. But Scrabble, I can always get. Like my mom and I actually play Scrabble together pretty often.
I like Scrabble. Ryan doesn't like Scrabble though.
I'm not very good with, what do you call them? Words.
So the deal with Scrabble is you don't actually have to be great with words to put up a competitive game. Because I was actually I was watching my sisters play with my mom over Thanksgiving weekend, and all of them are pretty good wordsmiths, but their scores were pretty low because, like, the trick to Scrabble is that you have to play as many compound words in a single turn as possible. And, like, they didn't quite grasp that concept that you're just spelling one awesome word is not really going to do that much for you. You have to layer it among other words. We also had a fun discussion, too, because what was it? A couple of years ago, my sister Kathy and I were playing Scrabble, and we found out that swear words and like slurs are all banned from Scrabble, according to the official dictionary, because she played cunt, which would have netted her like 60 points the way that she did it. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you can't spell that in Scrabble. And she's like, oh, challenge me. And not only did we have to challenge it, but we had to read the article from Hasbro where they banned slurs and like words. And my sister's like, if I want to play cunt, I'm going to play cunt. She did not win that game, and she's still salty about it. And my other sister, I told her this story, and she agreed. She's like, you should be able to spell whatever word you want if people are using it.
Yeah, I think Scrabble's kind of... I always get into trouble when I play Scrabble. My family are very much grab the rule book kind of people because we will question everything. And so Ryan's experienced that a little bit where we'll be playing Risk, and I'll be like, you can't do that. He'll be like, yes, I can. Or I'll be like, I'm going to do this. And he'll be like, you can't do that. And I'll be like, yes, I can.
So you don't put anything in free parking in Monopoly?
No.
Oh, boo.
Oh, well, like the
boo.
jackpot.
Yeah.
Oh, that whole business?
Yeah.
It's a house
That's
rule.
how we used to play.
It is a house rule. Like, that's what we always played it, like, all of the money, like, if you landed on luxury tax, for instance, that would go to free parking, and then any money debited from, like, community chest or chance cards.
Yeah. That's how we used to play, but Ryan refuses to play that way.
Same reason I draw log cabins the same color.
You never drew a pink log cabin?
No.
Aw, what kind of monster are you?
Don't worry about it.
My cousins.
I'll tell you later.
My cousins and I actually made up even more modified rules for free parking too. Like we had this bonkers rule at one point that if somebody got knocked out of the game and didn't feel like mortgaging their properties, that all of their properties could go into free parking.
Really?
Which made it absolute bedlam because like one awesome roll of the dice meant that suddenly you controlled another monopoly somewhere else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In Star Wars Monopoly, you can capture settlements.
What?
You can attack, you can be like, I want to attack Coruscant. And if you roll better than the person owning it, you just conquer the planet.
Yeah.
And Shannon thinks that's a stupid rule.
It is a stupid rule.
Coruscant
That's
doesn't
not how you
exist
play.
anymore in Star Wars canon too.
Oh.
Facts.
Wait, really?
Oh yeah, you don't remember in Force Awakens they destroyed Coruscant with the planet killer.
Is that the first one or the third one? Disney.
Episode 7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see that one. Was that Coruscant?
I thought so because they were taking out the Republic, like all the Republic
I'm
planets.
trying to block those movies out of my mind. They made me sad.
The first one was okay. I enjoyed the second one better than most people did. The third one was a straight piece of fucking garbage.
I didn't even
Ryan?
bother with the third one.
Ryan is a Star Wars purist.
It's true.
He doesn't even agnowledge the newest movies.
So
From my point of view, they're not canon.
well, then you are lost. What did you think of the Obi-Wan series? Did you watch that?
We watched 2 episodes and lost interest. I heard it gets good after 6. I don't want to sit there for 6 episodes.
So what it was with Obi-Wan, which I think this was part of the problem with the series, I liked it overall, but it didn't like when I saw the trailer for it and they were playing Duel of the Fates with the Inquisitor talking, I thought this was going to be like a kick-ass series. And what it boiled down to was like it was one fetch quest, Obi-Wan saving Princess Leia, that was extrapolated over like 8 episodes and didn't need to be that long. Like I'd read an interview with the guy who had written the original movie that they were going to do before the pandemic hit, and he said that he still got credit for the TV show because they used the story from his movie. They just spread it out over 8 episodes. And I'm like, yeah, that'll
do it.
That makes sense. There's some awesome moments. Like all of the Darth Vader stuff is awesome as shit. Like
I do think it's worth going back to try and give it a shot for the Darth Vader stuff.
I'll just watch the duel on YouTube.
You can. The very final battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader is very moving and very interesting, but you have to go through a lot of very uninteresting things to get there. There's also like one of the cooler scenes too, which I'm happy they did this in just one extended scene. They do have a flashback to a duel with Obi-Wan and Anakin like in the old Jedi temple. Which is very masterfully done too and plays with the themes of that episode. But like it was very hit or miss. It was all over the place. I've heard Andor is fantastic.
I've heard the same.
But I haven't seen it yet.
No, we haven't either.
We've been watching Forged in Fire.
We love Forged in Fire.
What's Forged in Fire?
Oh my God.
What did I say?
Forged in Fire is the only reality television show that I can get him to watch.
You've lost me already.
But no. Hear me out. It's a reality competition show. So
Okay.
you get every episode. There's 4 bladesmiths. They start out at the beginning of the episode.
Oh.
And so there's 3 rounds. First round they have to make like the blade, and the second round they have to put a handle on the blade, and then the third round whoever has the best blade out of the first 2 rounds, the 2 finalists, they do a final round where they recreate an iconic weapon from like history. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'll do iconic weapons from like movies and stuff like that. They had one episode that I really loved. It was like fantasy and sci-fi. They had this challenge to create their own fantasy/sci-fi style weapon, and then at the end they recreated, I don't remember what film it was, but it was like an alien sword, and it was really, really cool.
Yeah,
I may enjoy
lightsaber.
this because I do have, as you well know, a soft spot for Final Fantasy weapons.
Yeah, so it's really great, and they do eliminations. By the end of it, somebody wins, and they earn $10,000. And so some of the episodes are really, really cool. We just watched one today. It was a horror movie themed episode where they all made like slasher weapons, and then the final weapon was a fireman's axe. They had to make a fireman's axe because to pay homage to like American Psycho and The Shining and that kind of thing.
And firefighters.
And firefighters.
Yeah, we got to
Those 2.
tribute to those brave men and women who serve our communities.
By
And firefighters.
killing prostitutes, probably.
By
You'd
killing
stick this in.
prostitutes. Yeah,
No, I'm sorry. I don't want that taken out of context. I fully support. I fully support legal sex work, okay, and sex work in general. So do whatever you want with your body, but also serial killers use axes and kill people sometimes.
Yeah, I was thinking when you were saying serial killer weapons, I was thinking about like some of the more prominent ones, and they're not really that flashy. Like Michael Myers just has the butcher knife.
Jason's got a machete.
Machete, yeah. I mean, Freddy Krueger's knife hands are kind of a little bit more out of the box.
That would have been really cool if they decided to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if Doug would have been able to test it, though.
Yeah, you could have. You could test
Yeah, maybe
it.
you could. I don't know.
Did they do anything for Hellraiser? Like, I don't know if there's not
No.
really a signature weapon in Hellraiser is the thing. Like chains
No.
and hooks.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really cool. And sometimes they're like really interesting challenges where you have to harvest your metal from, like this episode, it was chainsaws you had to harvest your metal from. It's a really cool show. It's on Netflix. Check it out. It's like our feel-good show. We watch it like almost every day.
Yeah, and we need to feel good on this podcast because we usually are super depressed. So.
Yeah, Ryan very specifically told me we're not talking about anything depressing.
Oh, that's probably not going to happen, Ryan.
Well, I actually said, let's not even talk about mental health. And then you were like, let's compromise, maybe.
we can be happy too. I feel like
Clearly, Ryan and I are very good at compromising.
that's an awesome trait to have as a couple. So I have not yet reached the point in my current relationship where I've had to compromise about anything. So
Are we good at compromising?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This is not the time to have the conversation.
there was a joke in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, are we good at compromising? No, we're not good at compromising. Are we okay at compromising? No, we're not okay at compromising. Okay, we're bad at compromising. Yes, this is what I've been telling you.
Yeah, we really came here for some couples counseling, Hal, so haha.
Well, I've been in the presence of a counselor many times, and I've dated a counselor, so I think that makes me qualified. No, I'm not even going to joke about that. So,
That's the same argument to like, oh, I've watched Forensic Files so many times, I would get away with murder.
Yeah.
So I say that sometimes.
Shannon told me she was thinking about killing me in her sleep the other day.
No, it wasn't in my sleep, it was in your sleep. I would kill you in your sleep.
Oh, that makes it worse.
It was like one of those intrusive thoughts, you know? Like he was sleeping in the bedroom, I was doing the dishes, I picked up the knife, and I was like, man, I could just walk in there and stab him.
yeah, so that is an interesting thought and concept. And I think we touched on this a little bit before, but I feel like intrusive thoughts are something we don't talk enough about at all because they tend to be horrifying, but everyone has them.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but one of my favorite Cracked articles I read back when they did interesting feature pieces was they interviewed a woman who had a different mental condition where she was not a violent person, but she just had this condition where she would plan the murders of all of her friends and family. Did we talk about this?
On the podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just the weirdest feeling because I was thinking to myself, like, but you love him. And I was like, yeah, but you might get away with it. I was like, wait, hold on a second. No, I wouldn't. There would be like forensic evidence and stuff.
Yeah, I remember.
But the question is, who would ever think? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so stinking in love with you. Like, no one would ever suspect me.
A woman
She's
killing
playing
her
the long
fiance?
game.
It's never happened before.
No, but what I'm saying is nobody would believe it. Because I'm so in love with you. Like, people would be like, there's no way. Shannon, like, loves Ryan so much.
He's a pretty laid back dude, too. Like, I don't know how much better you're going to do than Ryan, so.
I know. Like, I don't think I could do better than Ryan. That's why I'm glad that he's here and offered to
Aw.
marry me.
I definitely would not do better than Ryan, so. You're the dream,
Yeah.
that Shannon tries to kill. You're the dream, you're the dream.
I didn't try. I just thought about it, but I was like, well, that's the thing you can only do like once.
It would have been
You
like...
can only kill somebody once.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I couldn't, like, it would be because my first in reaction after killing you would be to then be like, oh my gosh, Ryan, wasn't that so crazy when I killed you?
Well, and we were just talking about like Disney Star Wars. Would it be like when Luke Skywalker is about to slay Kylo Ren in his sleep?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
That was dumb as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just talking about Kylo Ren really recently because
Yeah, Shannon's got the hots for him.
I've got the hots for Adam Driver, and he's like, I don't understand why you have the hots for Adam Driver.
And Shannon's like, neither do I.
Adam Driver, he's a very unusual looking person. He's not classically handsome, but I think he's an attractive man at the
I
same
told
time.
Ryan that he should be happy that I'm not attracted to conventionally handsome people.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. He's
Yeah,
very
I'm a
handsome.
weird-looking guy. What can I say?
I'm kidding. He's very handsome.
He is very handsome. I feel like this podcast is devolving into all of us just reassuring Ryan that he's handsome and loved.
This is your fan podcast.
Yeah.
This is where we get on.
Jokes
and
on you guys. This was therapy for me the whole time.
Yay! Surprise! A twist worthy of Shyamalan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we could talk more about Star Wars stuff too, since you're really into
I
that.
love Star Wars.
Have you seen
I studied Wikipedia as a kid. I just hours and hours I'd scroll through that website and
The
just
lore.
learn. It's in the lore.
like learning that that monster that's in the trash compactor is actually force sensitive and all other weird shit?
Yeah.
What?
Ryan could probably explain this a lot
Didn't you
better
know
than me.
No.
The force sensitive monster in the trash compactor.
I feel like you didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't know
You
that?
No, I didn't. I didn't know
Stumped
that. All right.
Ryan, stumped
Take it
Ryan
away.
on my first try.
Tell us about the.
Oh, that's really all
Is
there
this
is
an
to it.
actual thing?
Yeah, it's an actual thing where they say that like the whole deal with why it it doesn't actually attack Luke. It's trying to actually get him out of the trash compactor, but doesn't realize that it can't get him out because it recognizes another force sensitive creature. Although
don't
why
buy
he
it.
didn't try to do that to Leia, I don't understand either. But like,
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
this is just it's one of those weird factoids they threw out, kind of like the fact that, I mean, this is now officially canon because of the Book of Boba Fett series, but for years, the fact that Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc pit was something established in the expanded universe. And I said this to a couple of Star Wars people, and they're like, no, there's no way Boba Fett escaped from there. I'm like, yeah, he did, according to like how it goes down. I have not read any of the EU books. I'm sure. Have you read a lot of them, Ryan? Or
Nah.
Ryan doesn't do a whole lot of reading.
Which is
except
ironic.
for Wikipedia.
Yeah. I'm a man of interesting tastes, you see.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Mandalorian I thought was fantastic, and
Oh, yeah.
Boba Fett was so disappointing because I thought that was going to be a kick-ass series, and
We
there were
didn't watch
moments where it was good, but then there were moments like the slow motion Power Rangers bike chase through Mos. Is it Mos Espa they're in, or Mos Eisley?
I don't know. We didn't watch it.
You definitely need to watch it before you see season 3 of The Mandalorian, because I don't know if you knew this. One of the recurring jokes about the Boba Fett series was that the series is so underwhelming that 6 episodes in, they just do an entire 2 episodes with Mando instead of Boba Fett, where Boba Fett is not even in the episodes. And it makes some interesting plot progress. There's more CGI Luke, which is horrifying, more Sakato, and like, yeah, you should at least watch those episodes before you watch Mando season 3.
Dang it.
Well, my current and for a while obsession after I graduated from Star Wars has been Elder Scrolls lore. Yep.
I've never played like Oblivion or Skyrim was the other big one, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you play any of them?
No, I do know they're Bethesda though, so like they're pretty local as far as games go.
Yeah. It's I like video games, but the only video game I've ever finished was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
If you're just gonna finish one game, that would be one of the ones to finish, I think.
Yeah. I've started Skyrim a bunch of times and haven't gotten past like I honestly don't know. I've gotten as far as like help me.
Give me hints.
I need more.
Use your words.
God damn it. I don't remember. The
describe
guild.
it.
The guild.
What guild? That's what Skyrim is based around. Guilds.
Guilds. The one with
The Thieves Guild.
No, that one.
The Assassins
No,
Guild.
it's the first one.
The Writers Guild
ones
of
with the
America.
the companions.
The Companions.
Yeah.
You're just throwing out buzzwords that apply to every RPG at this point. The
At least she
sword.
didn't say the Fighters Guild.
The sword.
I was really close to it. No, the one where I think that I got to right before I became a werewolf.
Well,
Ooh, you became a
spoiler
werewolf.
alert.
You can be anything you want to be in Skyrim.
It's true. You can. You can eat potatoes.
Wow, that's outstanding.
Yeah. But, like, you don't think about that sort of thing when you, in, like, 2011.
Oh, sure, but can you go to the bathroom in Skyrim?
I mean, there's probably a mod for it. There's a mod for a lot of things in Skyrim.
So this sounds like a good subject for Ryan. What is your favorite video game of all time, then?
The Witcher 3.
Ooh, okay.
But Skyrim is at a close second.
Do you want to tell us about The Witcher 3 a little bit and why you love it so much?
Yes. Well, it has been a while, but it kicked... I actually played all 3 games. First one they're remaking because it was a mess. Witcher 2 was better, and then The Witcher 3 is just... it really brings video games into, like, the serious perspective of being art. It's beautiful to look at, explore. They perfected the fighting system, the combat systems. Incredible storyline. It kickstarted my interest in that universe as well. The TV show was pretty good. My hope is lost in current events, but that's...
Oh, it's because they replaced Henry Cavill with the lesser Hemsworth,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the Hemsworths are equal in my eyes. That's all I'll say about it.
This is Liam Hemsworth, right?
It is
He's,
Liam Hemsworth.
he's okay.
I don't know. Could you see Chris Hemsworth as The Witcher?
No, he's too happy. He's Thor. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he's too jolly.
I know. I could see him as gritty. I don't know.
But I'm working through the books right now.
Yeah, one of my coworkers absolutely adores those books, and she tried to get me to play Gwent for a while too, because my brother-in-law also wanted to play Gwent, but like my family, specifically my sisters and I, are all Hearthstone people like crazy.
Yeah.
But Gwent was also so popular that Hearthstone introduced its own version of Gwent like a year and a half ago that I've had zero interest in playing. Like I play the occasional free game just to earn the rewards for every cycle, but like, yeah, it's not quite my game.
I am very excited because the follow-up to Breath of the Wild comes out in May of 2023.
Yeah, it's going
And
to be great.
you will not see me for probably until the wedding once that comes out.
Except to do this podcast once a week.
Yes.
We'll
And
play.
then
We'll play
even
it together.
Right. I'll just be sitting there on my Switch and be like, yes, Hal, would you like to talk about being depressed and such? Yes.
I can't be depressed when I'm flying through because he's flying.
I
Link flies
know.
in the new one too.
I know.
I mean, you kind of flew in Breath of the Wild, but like
Yeah.
it was based in a way that was
Gliding.
yeah.
It was more like falling with style.
It was.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I love that game so
No one's
much.
going to get that reference, really.
I did not. So
Toy Story? No? Okay.
But Breath of
You're
the
so
Wild.
cute.
Breath of the Wild was like my favorite game I've played in the last couple of years because
Oh my God.
I haven't done a lot of open world games. I enjoyed Final Fantasy 15 just because I'm a fanboy of the series, but like after playing Breath of the Wild, you realize how horribly misdone their open world was, where like I don't know, everything in Breath of the Wild was just so beautiful. It was all accessible. It was like that's a game that I would believe would be elevated to the form of art. In fact, I was actually beating Ganon at our office because I was working late one night, like till 1 a.m. And like I just attached it to the TV and was playing it. And one of my coworkers walked in who has no like comprehension of video games. She's like a 60-some-odd-year-old woman, and she looked at it. She's like, "This is beautiful. I love this." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, it's a gorgeous game. I loved every minute. I still play it. I've beat it once. I have all the divine beasts. I have all the shrines. I am almost done with all the side quests. I'm never going to get all the Korok seeds because there's like 900
There's like,
of
yeah,
them.
I was reading someplace there's like 900 Korok seeds.
Yep.
And do you know what you get if you get all the Korok seeds?
A giant golden poop.
Yeah, a giant golden poo.
Listen, I'm going to
That
work
doesn't
my
sound
ass
real.
off for that
No,
giant
it totally
golden poop.
is.
Oh, speaking of weird things you find in Breath of the Wild, remember that, like, awkward age gap relationship we found?
Oh, yeah. So there's a side quest in Breath of the Wild. I don't know if you've done it.
Probably not,
But you find a, oh my gosh.
A
what
Zora child.
a Zora child
Mm-hmm.
who's trying to send a love letter down the stream or down the river. And so she asks you if you'll guard it until it gets to wherever it's going because she's looking for her true love.
Mm-hmm.
So
I may have done this side quest actually.
yeah, so you go down and there's a couple of obstacles that you have to break so that the the capsule can get down there, but if you're not careful, you might explode the capsule. So I think it took me like 3 tries because I think we were in the middle of doing something else and I was trying to do this quest and I don't know why I was playing Legend of Zelda and focused on anything else than Legend of Zelda, but
Well, that's the great thing about the Switch
That's
is you
on
can
me.
just take it with you anywhere. So
yeah. So I had to do it 3 times, but then you finally get it and it washes up on the shore of this little inlet and a grown-ass man comes out and picks it up and he's like, "Ah, yes, my love."
no.
And I was like, "What?"
Chill, buddy. That's
Calm down
like-
here, interspecies pedophilia.
Yeah.
Dude, you...
That's a phrase I never thought I would say.
No, exactly. And you go back to Zora's domain, and they're there, like, together, and, like, the height difference, and I'm like, okay.
Who thought this was okay?
I don't know who thought this was okay.
Yeah, sometimes the Japanese sensibilities for some of these side quests are ridiculous. Like, oh god, so because we were talking about Final Fantasy 15, there is a side quest in there that made me like roll my eyes and laugh at the same time, and it's become like a meme online. I don't know if you've seen this, but they have a weird tie-in with cup noodles in Final Fantasy 15, and one of the side quests involves Gladio, who's like the huge sword-toting guy. It's like, yeah, cup noodles is my absolute favorite meal. Do you ever have a meal like cup noodles that you really like? He says cup noodles like 100 times, and the quest is that you have to go slay a behemoth to get the special meat to make his cup noodles the best meal for him because that's the way he likes it. And I was reading that the voice actors for the 4 characters were so underwhelmed by this quest that they'd put no energy and no emotion into reading their lines at all. So it's a funny thing to watch, just seeing the big sword guy be like, yeah, cup noodles is my favorite meal. You ever just want your favorite meal of cup noodles? The answer is no.
I would
That's
love.
so sad.
I always told Shannon I'd love to be a voice actor.
You have such a good voice.
La la
But-
la.
I'm biased, though, so don't listen to me.
I mean, that'll remain to be seen until I listen down to the podcast before I post it. So
Say some
Yeah.
words, Ryan.
So, some words.
are you speaking words now?
I am speaking words now. I'm speaking words.
Ladies and gentlemen, the East Pennsboro High School Marching Band.
Yeah, so I helped out with a marching band this summer, and he's like, the director is like, oh, I don't know who I'm gonna get to announce like the marching band, and I was like, ho ho ho, say no more. So I got to do that. Read a script, went up to the press box, read my little thing, and had a grand old time doing it.
So have you ever seen, there's a documentary about voice acting called I Know That Voice. Have you ever seen this movie?
I don't think so.
It's produced by most of the Futurama people. Is it John DiMaggio? Yeah, John DiMaggio is like the main guy, and they interview like tons of people. You've seen everything. In fact, oh my God, why am I brain farting on Batman's name all of a sudden? Because he just passed away. Kevin.
Adam West? No.
No.
The animated one.
As in Batman the Animated Series. But he's a big interviewee in there too, which was the first time I'd seen him on film. And they go down the entire way, how you do voice acting and how it's different from normal acting. They don't work it they get paid the same amount as a normal actor, but they only have to do 4-hour sessions as opposed to working 12-hour days. So
I would have thought it would be less glamorous for some reason.
it depends really. If you're somebody like Billy West is somebody they interview a lot in it too, and they say that their own, because they've chosen to be voice actors, the way that they do it is a lot of fun and very festive, and people recognize their voices, which is cool.
I think I assume that because I just see a lot of stuff about in video gaming, a lot of voice lines for games like Skyrim we talked about just go unused. There are a lot of voice lines you can find in the code that you can't find in the game itself, which leads to a lot of weird theories, but different discussion.
An alternate reality.
Yeah. But it kind of makes me imagine that if they can just have people sit there and read lines after lines just to waste them, I kind of assume they wouldn't be paid a whole lot.
So it's there is a guild I forget whether it's within the Screen Actors Guild or if it's a separate guild for voice actors particularly. And there is a guy I do improv with occasionally who does not live in LA anymore, but he occasionally does voice work in his own studio he built. and he has done video game work. And he says that like the various characters that you do in video games, it's usually just like they'll feed lines here and there. And he said he even made up lines occasionally that were in the script because it was just supposed to be like chatter in a village or something like that. So it's interesting to hear that some of them don't go used. Maybe just a lack of space.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because I remember, like, in the old days of PlayStation 1, I remember what the Final Fantasy games did, because they literally ran out of space by Disc 4, is they would just, like, create a reason that you couldn't go into towns anymore in the last disc. Like, in Final Fantasy 8, you, like, go into a time-compressed world where the towns don't actually exist. So that saves space. And in Final Fantasy 9, like, a tree goes crazy and covers up all the towns, so you can't go back into a lot of them, just to save space. So I love creative things like that. Like, have you ever heard about how Silent Hill has fog?
Yeah, because they couldn't render that far, right?
Yeah, it's the story behind Silent Hill is like, because in Japanese work culture, you never get fired from a job. You just get unassigned to something, and it's supposed to be shameful to encourage you to work better. And so at Konami, they had all these people that were unassigned because they had failed at other jobs and were kind of incompetent. And so they just threw them on this dummy game called Silent Hill so they wouldn't do damage to other people's projects. And the fog, for instance, they were just too lazy to render out backgrounds, so they just put a fog in there. And then it turned out to be one of the strangely most iconic games in history.
I wish I knew more about video games, or liked video games especially. Every person I've ever met that has been a video gamer has always made the argument of, oh, they're so relaxing. It relaxes me so much to play video games. Not once has Ryan has watched me play video games. Have I ever been relaxed?
You play Animal Crossing.
No, I'm stressed in that too because nobody cleans up around there.
You're stressed playing Animal Crossing.
No, it's chores, the video game. You have to go around picking up all your weeds and watering your flowers and taking care of and then if you don't play the game for a couple weeks, all of your villagers yell at you and it's very stressful.
So my girlfriend actually started I don't know what the name of this game is, but she was talking to me about this week because she just started playing a game where all you do is deliver mail. Like you're just a mail delivery person. And it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like Second Life because she has like a lumberjack boyfriend in this like game too. And she's just like, yeah, I'm going to go home, detox, have a beer and deliver mail for a few hours.
That's hilarious.
I think it's...
What I do, what's funny about Animal Crossing is I'll be playing and Ryan will be like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, my boyfriend Kevin's here. And he was like, you're what? And then later on... He'll be like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, my girlfriend Sydney's here. And he's like, you're what? So I have an intricate like storyline with my Animal Crossing that's not real, but it is in my brain.
It's stressing you out, I can tell.
No,
just talking about
it's a lot. It really is. And then I still can't get all the fish and all the bugs. I got all the fossils. But it's just very stressful because if you're going to get all of the animals, you have to play like year round. But sometimes I get depressed and I can't play Animal Crossing. So how am I supposed to get all the animals, Hal?
You go on vacation.
Yeah.
We went on vacation. You didn't let me bring my Switch.
A depression vacation.
Oh, depression vacation.
Thank you for listening today, everybody.
You still have 18 more minutes.
I was going to say, our hour's not up. You should be quiet.
What was I going to say? So something you brought up, too, about like being relaxed playing video games. There are certain video games that relax me. I don't think Hearthstone is one of them, even though it's the one I play the most. But what I love to do is I love to level grind in all of the old RPGs. Like, I am exactly the kind of market that if they re-release an enhanced version of a 16-bit RPG I loved, I'll snap. Like, I just bought Tactics Ogre Reborn and have been going through that. But like on the Switch store this year, I bought all of the enhanced Dragon Quests that they made. I'll play basically any of the old games because that's soothing to me. It's relaxing to kind of just go through the motions of a game I enjoyed before. Although in Tactics Ogre, they put a level cap on your characters until you get into a certain progression level. And I don't know if you ever played Tactics Ogre, Ryan. But
I played a game with that title.
It's very hard, and the original like PlayStation, Super Nintendo version was nothing but level grinding because everything was so overpowered to unfair levels that you had to like spend hours in training. And I get that people like probably didn't like it that much, so it was something they had to fix. But damn it, I like level grinding. And I went through an entire half-hour training session only to realize that none of my experience count because I hit my level cap.
Take it away, Shan.
I had something.
Tell us the first thing that comes to your mind right now.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So
you guys are so adorable.
Whenever you're ready.
We are just so stinking cute. So what I was going to say is that because I have like Nintendo Online, I have a bunch of the old Nintendo games that I have access to. So Ryan was like, oh, since you love Zelda so much, Breath of the Wild, maybe you should play some of the older games. Because honestly, I'll be real, the only other Zelda game I've ever even attempted to play was the Minish Cap.
Oh, okay.
Which is so obscure.
No, that was the DS. No,
Yeah.
Phantom
Yeah, the
Hourglass
DS.
was DS.
No, it was DS too.
Oh, it was DS? Okay.
They had
Well-
a couple. The Phantom Train.
No.
I feel like Minish Cap was
No,
GBA.
Minish Cap, it was GBA, but I did play it on my DS.
I played Minish Cap for a little bit and I really enjoyed it, but I never finished it.
I never finished it. I got as far as I could. And I did go back and try to play the original game, and I'm kind of sort of playing that. But Ryan was like, you need to play Ocarina of Time because it's the best
Yeah.
game ever in the world. And I'm stuck in the Deku Tree.
Yeah, Ocarina of, like, it's so hard to rank that. Like, Ocarina is like, that was the Breath of the Wild in the late 90s, essentially, because that, like, so expanded on what video games could do at that time. Honestly, my own opinion, I love Link to the Past the best. That's, like, I don't know what it is, but everything about the sprites work well for me, and just that whole thing. And also, like, because I used to be into ROM hacking, it has a very robust community of people who program their own levels, some of which are broken and can't actually be finished because nobody tests them. But the original Zelda is hard as shit, though. Like, I just replayed that the other year. And then Zelda 2 is like, I've tried to replay Zelda 2 a few times, and I'll get to the final level, but the final level is just so unforgivingly hard that I just lose interest and stop playing.
Yeah. So I love Zelda because I've played Breath of the Wild, and that is really the only thing that I like that I know about Legend of Zelda, which feels fraudulent, but probably isn't. But I did watch a whole YouTube video about like all of the games and how they work in the chronological order and everything like that.
So I just got the book to read through this, and that blew my mind. Like, what the actual order of operations is for the Zelda
Because
games.
they're all over the fucking place.
Well, there's 3 different paths. It's like, and they all. Ocarina of Time is the first one in every path, right? Because it's like the paths diverge as to whether or not
That's the divergence. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like if Link kills Ganon, then you go to Link to the Past. No. If Link kills Ganon, you go to like Zelda 1, Zelda 2. If Ganon kills Link, then it's implied that Ganon is sealed in the Dark World, and that's Link to the Past. And then there's like a third one too, where like.
So at the end of Ocarina of Time, when you defeat Ganon, I hope I'm remembering this correctly.
Yeah.
If you defeat Ganon, you either. So basically, you then go back in time for the last time to the original timeline, leaving, like, completely ignoring the other timeline. It's super complicated. I hate multiverse theories.
But
no,
this is
it is super complicated.
This is why Breath of the Wild is so interesting too. Like, do they explain where Breath of the Wild fits in this?
Yes.
And I think that's
Yeah.
fascinating. Is the idea that like, regardless of what divergent paths were going to happen, this was the apex from like even for all 3 paths. Like it was always going to be Calamity Ganon, and I thought that was a very interesting take on thing. Although some of the deeper dives that I went into said that there's no that the Roto and the Zora apparently like were the same tribe that evolved into each other. So they were like nitpicking and saying there's no reason that they would both exist in the same world.
Yeah. Well, it's a video game. Calm
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. People take
That's
things
how I
way too
feel about
seriously, Shannon.
Well, and I didn't know a whole lot about Ganon, for example. So when I went to go watch that video, and it was like, yeah, Ganon's a Gerudo, and I was like, oh. But that makes so much sense because in Breath of the Wild, men can't go into Gerudo Village.
Well, they mentioned that in Breath of the Wild. There's one, and you probably wouldn't have noticed this because you hadn't played Ocarina, but when you're in the Gerudo town, I can't remember if it's the Guardian, Naboris, was that her name, or
I think so. Naboris, yeah.
I think she's the one, like, when you clear that divine beast that's the camel, even the Calamity started off as a Gerudo, she'll say.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he was the only male Gerudo in Ocarina of Time.
I think a male is born like every 100 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
something
he
like
just
that.
happened to be one.
Which
that
is
got really
very
purple.
confusing as to how they keep reproducing then. So
They reproduce in cross species.
I did
Right?
not know.
Yeah, because the Gerudo women often leave Gerudo
they venture out.
to find lovers, like in other places. So there was in one of the side quests, you set a Gerudo up with a Hylian,
Okay.
and another one you recruit her to go to, what's it called? The one that you help build. There's a whole side quest where somebody wants to go make their own village and you help build the village.
I did not play that.
Terrytown. Terrytown, that's what it's called. But you recruit
Named
her.
after a contest winner.
Oh, maybe. Well, it's Tarrey.
Yeah, well, that was sort of a joke. So
Yeah.
that's another Zelda joke is more deep dives into the Zelda lore. This will be amusing, I think, for you too. There was a Nintendo Power before Link to the Past had a contest where it was just like a mail-in, and whoever the winner that they picked would have their name in Link to the Past.
Oh, cool.
And the winner was a kid named Chris Houlihan, and they made just a room with one of those tiles that you hit. And it says, hey, my name's Chris Houlihan, and this is my room, but keep it a secret. And it just has like 100 rupees in like the blue rupees.
Oh, cute.
However, they didn't delete it from the game, but there was no way to access it in the game because they removed the path from it. But there is a way to get to it, and it's like this insane thing where you have to like strap on Pegasus boots, knock into the tree by Hyrule Castle 3 times, and then the last time bomb yourself into the hole over there, and that confuses the game into letting you into this room. But think about how you would feel if you were the kid who won that contest and it took 20 years for people to find the room accidentally.
Oh, gosh.
So I love
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, but I dove deep. So at my old job, when I was having my soul sucked out of my body, I was looking for any excuse not to do my job. So I watched like that whole video on Legend of Zelda lore, and then I watched more Legend of Zelda lore, but it was about like predictions for Tears of the Kingdom and talking about the Zonai. And the different architecture in Breath of the Wild that you can tell that some things are built by the Hylians, some things are built by the Sheikah, some things are built by the Zonai. So it is so interesting. And I'm going to love the shit out of that game. And Ryan's going to get it from me for my birthday. And it's going to
Yay.
be awesome.
Yeah.
Go, Ryan.
Or will I?
Oh, you will.
Oh, you will.
It's a surprise. You don't know.
If he knows what's good for him, he will.
What will Ryan get Shannon for her birthday?
Give me bread. Give me
bread.
that.
Oh, no. I think she just said she wants bread in the public view.
Give me Tears of the Kingdom or give me death.
Okay, I'll get you Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, I'm so happy he said that. I thought that he was going to say death.
He's so cute.
That's cool. But would you say that Breath of the Wild is your favorite video game then,
Oh,
since
yeah.
it's the one you finished?
Yeah, it is my favorite game. And I just keep playing it because I still have things to do. So,
Yeah, I stopped at 118 shrines. Like there was, I forget what the two, one of the ones I was missing was like the one where you had to complete every side quest in Cairo Village. And I just didn't feel like doing the side quests. And then I forget what the other one was, but I was only missing 2. And I just was like, yeah, I'm done with this game at this point. And I
Yeah.
paid for all the DLC too, and I never played it.
I don't have the DLC.
There's DLC.
Oh, yeah.
What
like
did you have to say then?
I should get the DLC.
Yeah, it's like if you haven't gotten that, there's some cool things in there. Like there's the golden Lionels that they add to the game, which are apparently like the hardest thing to defeat.
We can't even beat the regular ones.
There's only one that I can beat regularly, and it's one of the ones in the like the tower,
Like the arena thing?
the guard towers outside of Hyrule Castle. I can't even beat the ones in the arena.
Yeah, well, it took me, I spent like 2 days trying to beat the one in the like ruined arena, and I was expecting to get some sort of prize, and I didn't get shit. And I spent a long time figuring out how to beat that thing.
They're harder to beat than the Molduga, and
Yeah.
that was really hard the first time I did it.
Yeah, the Molduga, I only actually killed one Molduga, and when you learn how to kill them, like you feed bombs to them. That's what you do,
Yeah,
right?
basically, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard, but
Yeah, but it took me a minute to figure that out.
yeah, I actually had to look up a lot of things. Well, that was what I loved about Breath of the Wild is like for anybody listening who hasn't played it, you can do anything in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes a while to get used to the fact that you can do everything. Like, I don't know, like some of the solutions to some of the shrines were things I had never thought to do. Like jumping, like hitting a ball in the air, freezing it, then attacking it as much as possible to get energy up, and then riding it to like a different location. I'm like, who would have thought to do something like that?
So that's something that Ryan and I talk about all the time, is how there are some puzzle games that it's like, how do you even solve this without looking it up? Like some of them you'd have to be a genius. So I did get like the guidebook for Breath of the Wild. So anything that I can't figure out, but I always try something myself first, but then I cave and look it up.
I've had to look up how to do a couple of shrines there too. Like there's actually a TV trope in video games for exactly that kind of thing, and it's called God Dang It, because there's no way you could have conceivably figured out how to do it without. In fact, we were just talking about. Have you ever played Earthbound, Ryan, at all?
I played Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, that's so funny because like we were talking. So a coworker of mine's going through Earthbound for the first time, and I even made the offhanded comment. I was like, "Yeah, people know Ness mostly from Smash Brothers rather than Earthbound." The final boss in that game, you cannot beat like just by attacking it. What you have to do is there's one character who has this ability called Prey that doesn't cost any magic. And the entire game, it doesn't do anything. Like, occasionally it'll heal, like, 10 health to everybody. And it's a completely useless ability. And you just have to use that 10 times to beat the final enemy. And you never in a million years would have figured out that sort of thing.
Yeah. That's like in Pokemon, if you, at the final, the league at the end, you never played Pokemon. I don't know.
I've actually never played Pokemon, really.
Neither have I. Don't listen to me. But I know that Magikarp, the only move he can do is flop, and it doesn't do anything.
Magikarp is another. That's a TV trope as well for something that like has no, like, no purpose, and you need to stick with it a long time. Then it suddenly becomes a nuke, essentially.
Yeah. Well, and so you had mentioned something earlier, you know, in terms of like Breath of the Wild. What's so cool about that game is if you've never played a Legend of Zelda game, you can play that game you don't have to know shit about Legend of Zelda to play that game. And it's so fun, and you should play it if you haven't played it.
Yeah, it's essentially a giant sandbox, which is cool too. And I didn't even quite understand like that you could just go and fight Ganon right away if you wanted to. Like you can do anything, and that's also like.
Well, the king says that. He's like, you can head over there whenever.
I thought he was joking.
No, he's like, yeah, whenever you're ready, go fight Ganon. I mean, you do need some skill in the game to be able to fight Ganon.
It's very, I don't know if you've ever watched this, but there are a lot of interest. There's a whole community around speed running the game.
Yeah,
and I think
I've seen that.
The record's like 56 minutes, I think, at this point, because the way they do that is they do like shoot a ball into the air, freeze it, give it as much energy, like hit it for energy, and then we'll ride it to the 4 shrines you have to go to. And then and apparently they all play it in German because the German voice acting is slightly shorter than the rest of everything else. So
yeah, that makes sense. And the other thing is that Ryan has made it very clear to me that the Ganon fight is not as hard as other boss fights are.
Oh, so Ganon was very hard for me because
it was hard for me.
I didn't use flurry slashes the entire game.
I don't know how to flurry slash.
Yeah, me neither.
So, I had to teach her how to block and lock on.
Yeah, I didn't fight like that at all in the course of the game. I should have, but then you can also use Urbosa's Thunder, which again I didn't know those abilities regenerated, so I didn't use them at all throughout the game because I was like, oh, it's a good thing I didn't use that for the entire game, and then like stupid shit, how they regenerate. You could have been okay.
Yeah, and I just love that game so much. I do. I play it all the time.
Yeah, this seems like another concept that we'll have to come back to later if Ryan ever wants to come back, because I could talk video games for 5 to 1,300 episodes of like video games. Specifically, like JRPGs were the things that we bought in my house growing up all the time, and I could talk about like those because I feel like the RPGs I played growing up had a much more profound artistic effect on me than any movie or TV show I watched. And that includes all the awesome Nickelodeon shows. So.
Yeah.
Like, I still listen to some of the soundtracks to some of them when I'm sad, which is always. So
I was so excited. This was I'm gonna make you feel old, but after your time. But when I saw Big Time Rush coming up for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, that brought me back.
They were a boy band, right?
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, I used to see them on like the N or something like that.
Yeah.
Like one of the Nickelodeon networks.
Yeah, they're back together now, which is nice.
I used to get them confused with One Direction because like
Fair enough.
when you get to a certain point, all boy bands are just the same.
Yeah,
So, but not NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. I know the difference between them.
they are unique and special boys.
They're the best boys.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So yeah, this has been a fun episode of Depression Vacation. Thanks again, Ryan, for coming
Yay,
and
Thank
Ryan.
you.
talking board games, video games, and reindeer games. So yeah, you're welcome to come back anytime. Yeah,
Sounds good.
as long as you and Shannon are still engaged. Once you're married, you can't come back. So just get it out of your system now.
Okay.
All right, but anyway, for Depression Vacation, we're gonna have a fun slate coming up in December.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Wallace McKelvey back at some point to
Woo!
discuss Christmas movies. So I talked to him about that, and he's game. He likes the podcast. So
Awesome.
but yeah, have a wonderful early holiday season. May the weather not be too terrible, and we'll see you next week. I've been Hal.
I've been Shannon.
I've been Ryan.
He has been Ryan, and yeah, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again soon.